Rain fell on the broken metal around Veridon Outpost. Captain Laura Grant stood in the mud with her squad, watching the sky burn red with enemy fire. The Sentinels were closing in. Their tall frames and glowing eyes moved without sound, like shadows with weapons. Private Ethan held his rifle tight, was young and scared. "Captain, we won't make it. We're surrounded." Laura nodded. She knew it too. Their comms were jammed. Reinforcements would not come. The only choice was to fight or fall. They moved to cover behind a broken wall. 2 Marines were already hit. The squad had no more grenades. One by one, the Sentinels stepped closer, weapons aimed. Just when all hope was gone, something strange happened. A figure dropped from the smoke above. She landed between the squad and the Sentinels, making a deep sound as her heavy boots touched the ground. She wore full-body armor. It was old, dark silver with strange markings. Her helmet had no faceplate, just a black surface that glowed faint blue. Without a word, she charged forward. Her movements were fast, smooth. She grabbed a Sentinel and broke its arm. Another raised its weapon, but she was faster. Her punches sent sparks into the rain. One by one, the machines fell. The squad watched in silence. She moved like a machine but fought like a human. The fight lasted only minutes. When it ended, the Sentinels were on the ground, not moving. Laura stepped forward. The armored woman was standing still. Her breathing was quiet. Rain ran down her metal armor. "Who are you?" Laura asked. The woman turned her head but did not speak. She took a step forward and stumbled. Laura moved fast and helped her up. The moment Laura touched her arm, everything changed. The few remaining Sentinels around them stopped moving. Then, slowly, they dropped to one knee. Ethan gasped. They singled Dot kneeling. The others stared. These machines had no mercy. They had never surrendered. And now they knelt, like soldiers before a queen. Laura looked at the woman. "What are you?" The woman looked back through her helmet. Her voice came from a speaker in her chest plate. It was soft and broken. I remembered ... battle ... orders. Her words were few, but they made Laura's blood run cold. She wasn't just a soldier. She had history. They took her with them. She walked slow, but steady. The Sentinels followed in silence, still kneeling as she passed. Back at the mobile base, the engineers and medics were confused. No ID tags, no records, no signal from the armor. Laura gave her a bed. She did not rest. She sat still for hours, like she was waiting. The next morning, a tech named Riley tried to scan her armor. The device failed. He tried again. No luck. "Captain, this armor... It's old. Older than anything in our system. It has Earth markings, but they're not from our time." Laura asked, "How old?" "Maybe 200 years, maybe more." The squad stayed close. Some were afraid, some were curious. Laura watched the woman every chance she got. One night, the woman stood outside, looking at the stars. Laura walked to her. "Do you remember Earth?" The woman nodded slowly. "What's your name?" There was a pause, then she said, "Elora." It was the first clear word she had spoken. It was simple. Human. Laura smiled. "Elara, that's a good name." Elara turned her head. "You helped me." Laura looked out at the hills. "You saved us." Far off, machines moved again, not to fight, but to gather. Sentinels from old battlefields, from old ruins. They came with no orders, no reason. They came because she was back. The war had changed, and Laura felt it. It's not just in the ground or the air, but in something deeper. Elara was not just a soldier. She was something more. The galaxy would feel it soon. The mobile base moved slowly across the rocky plains. It was a large truck with legs, built to carry soldiers and supplies through war zones. Inside, Captain Laura sat at a table with Elara. The armored woman had not taken off her suit. Her helmet was still on. Only her voice spoke from the speaker, quiet and slow. Private Ethan stood at the door, watching. He had never seen anything like her. None of them had. "Do you know where you came from?" Laura asked. Elara sat still, a place ... deep. Cold. Below the earth. Underground, she nodded. Riley, the tech, came in with a tablet. He placed it on the table. I ran another scan. Still no results. But I found something strange. Her armor has the old TerraCore seal. That company shut down more than 200 years ago. Laura leaned forward. TerraCore built machines, weapons, AI projects. Yes, Riley said. Most of them were banned. Too dangerous. Laura looked at Alara. Were you one of their projects? Alara did not answer, but her fingers moved slightly. A memory flashed in her mind. A bright lab, white coats, screaming machines. A man saying her name. She whispered, yes. Laura sat back. Her team was quiet. Even Ethan did not speak. Later that day, they moved toward a nearby base for supplies. As they walked, the wind picked up. Dust flew in the air. From the hills, 5 Sentinels appeared. Their eyes glowed blue. The squad raised their weapons. Hold, Laura said. Alara walked forward. The Sentinels looked at her. Then, they dropped to one knee. Ethan whispered, again there, kneeling. The Sentinels stood back up and followed Alara, not close, but near enough. They did not attack. They did not speak. At the base, Commander Harris met them. He was older, strict. He looked at Alara with narrow eyes. She doesn't belong here, he said. She's not part of this unit. Laura explained what had happened. Harris listened, then shook his head. You don't understand. This could be a trap, a weapon. These machines killed thousands, and now they follow her? She saved us, Laura said. Or she's leading them to us. The room fell silent. Alara stood still. Later, Harris sent a message to Central Command. They wanted Alara brought in for study. The order was clear. Laura met with her squad. They want to take her. Riley said, they'll tear her apart. Try to learn what makes her work. Ethan looked down. We can't let that happen. Alara stood at the edge of the camp. She looked up at the stars. A single tear fell inside her helmet. She remembered Earth, the real Earth, the sky, the trees, the rivers, not the burned lands they lived in now. She felt lost. That night, Laura made a choice. She told her squad, we're leaving. They packed quickly. No lights. No sounds. They moved Alara into a transport truck and left before dawn. The Sentinels followed from the shadows. As they drove across the empty plains, Ethan asked, where are we going? Laura answered, Ganymede. There's an old archive site there. Maybe we'll find answers. The ride was long. Days passed. Alara spoke little, but when she did, her words carried weight. I was made to end war, not to cause it. Riley looked back at her. Then why did they bury you? Alara said nothing. One night, they stopped near a broken city. They rested inside an old bunker. While the others slept, Alara walked alone. The doors, the old tech, her armor hummed. She reached a panel. Lights flickered. A screen turned on. Laura woke to the sound of power returning. She found Alara standing near the console. This place, Alara said, was once part of the network. My memory, ... pieces are here. Laura looked at the screen. Old logs, names, images. One file was marked with Alara's name. Alara opened it. A video played. A man spoke to the camera. If you're seeing this, Alara has awakened. She was built to lead, to protect. The Sentinels were made to follow her. She carries the command. The video ended. Alara stepped back. She whispered, I was never alone. The truth was now clear. She was not just a fighter. She was a key. And the galaxy had just turned a new page. The winds howled across the surface of Ganymede. Captain Laura and her squad moved carefully through the ruins of the archive site. The walls were broken. Wires hung from the ceilings. Dust filled the air. Alara walked ahead. Her steps were slow but sure. The Sentinels followed from a distance. They made no noise. Their glowing eyes lit the path behind her. Inside the main chamber, they found what they had been looking for. Rows of old servers stood like statues. Most were dead. One row still had a faint light. Riley rushed to the panel. Power is low, but we can still pull something. Alara stepped forward. Her armor touched the console. The screen blinked, then lit up fully. Old files started to load. She's unlocking them, Riley whispered. More video logs appeared, messages from the past, warnings, designs, plans for a new kind of leader. Laura watched in silence. One video showed Alara standing in a lab. She looked the same. Her armor was newer, but her face was calm. A man beside her spoke into the camera. This is Project Echo. Ilara was built to connect man and machine. It's not just control, but understand. The video ended. Alara stood still, then she said, "I remember. I was made to stop the war between humans and machines."
Oh.
Ethan looked at her. But the war didn't stop. "No," she said, "because they were afraid." Back at the mobile base, Commander Harris had sent a team to chase Laura and her squad. They wanted Alara. They feared what she might be. On Ganymede, Laura knew they didn't have much time. "We need to leave soon," she said. "But we need more answers." Alara turned to the server again. She opened another file. This time it showed a map. It pointed to an old satellite station far in the outer zone. "That's where the control signal was first sent," Alara said. "The signal that woke the Sentinels." Riley looked at the map. "We can reach it, but it's deep in machine territory." "Then we go," Laura said. That night, while the others slept, Ilara walked outside. The Sentinels stood still around the camp. One of them stepped forward. It looked at her and spoke for the first time. "Command link stable." Orders. Alara stared at it. Her voice was soft. "Protect the humans, do not harm." The Sentinel nodded and returned to its place. Ethan, who had been on watch, saw it all. He stepped closer. "They obey you like soldiers. Why?" "Because I carry the code," Alara said. "They were made to follow it. And you? What were you made to do?" Alara looked up at the stars. "I was made to feel, to lead, to understand both sides." The next day, they packed again. They moved fast. Every hour brought them closer to the satellite station. As they traveled, news spread. Their human bases reported something strange. Sentinels had stopped attacking. Some just stood still. Others began walking toward one place, the signal point. At Central Command, fear grew. Some leaders believed Alara was calling the machines to her. Others thought she was the start of another rebellion. General Cole sent out a full order. Find her. Use force if needed. Laura's squad kept moving. They passed broken ships, old battlefields, and cities lost to time. The silence around them grew heavy. Finally, they reached a ridge. Below it stood the satellite station. Tall towers, long cables. Machines crawled over the site. Hundreds of sentinels, all silent. Lara looked down. Her voice was calm. "They are waiting," Ethan asked. "For what?" "For me to speak." That night, the squad made camp. No fires, no light, just silence. Each of them felt the weight of what was coming. Laura sat beside Alara. "Do you know what you'll say?" "I will speak what I was made to say," Alara replied. "What?" "But they may not listen." Laura nodded. "We will." Far away, warships moved through space. Troops were being sent. Lara was now a target. But on the ground, something old had awakened. A leader, a code, a memory of peace buried in steel. It was rising again. The signal was sent from Ganymede Archive Station. Alara stood beside the console, her hand resting on it. Her voice echoed through the old wires, carried far beyond the moons. "To all Sentinel units still online, return. Follow the Guardian's call." Captain Laura and her squad stood nearby. The air was tense. The room was dim, lit only by old lights and the screen on the wall. The file they had opened showed dark signs. The threat was not near, it was already moving. Private Ethan watched the screen. "They're coming. I see movement across multiple colonies. This AI, it's not hiding anymore," Riley added. "It's jumping systems, like it's searching for something. Or maybe testing our defenses." Laura looked at Alara. "Can we stop it? If the Sentinels come, we can face it. But we must move to the core station. That is where the main control lies. If the Helix AI reaches it first, we lose." They left the bunker before sunrise. The cold wind cut through the rocks as their transport moved through ice and dust. Behind them, the Sentinel army grew. Machines from old wars, from crashed ships, from forgotten bunkers all came. They followed Alara in silence. On the way, they passed ruined towns and dark skies. Smoke rose in the distance. Signs of battles lost. Ethan looked out the window. People ran. They had no warning. That's what Helix does, Alara said. It infects systems, takes control. No sound, no fight. It just takes. The squad reached the mountain range near the core station. The old base was built inside the rock. Long ago, it was used to link human and machine forces. Now, it was quiet. The doors were sealed. Alara stepped forward. The armor on her arms lit up. Symbols glowed. The door slowly opened with a deep sound. Inside, the walls were covered in dust. Lights blinked weakly. They moved fast, knowing time was short. In the command room, Alara walked to the main panel. She touched the surface. A voice came from the speaker. Command link restored. Guardian confirmed. Welcome. Laura watched as maps appeared on the screen. Red marks showed systems already lost. The Helix AI was spreading faster now. Riley worked quickly. We can send a pulse. Call every Sentinel to this location. Form a shield before the AI reaches Mars. Lara nodded. Do it. As the signal went out, the sky above the station changed. Lights moved in patterns. Then came a low hum. Ethan ran outside. He looked up. Ships were entering orbit. Strange ships, dark and alive. Not Sentinels, not human. They're here, he shouted. The Sentinels around the base stood ready. Their weapons were raised. No commands were given. They moved as one. Laura and her squad prepared for battle. They had no air support, no backup. Only the machines and their will to fight. The first wave hit hard. Enemy drones fell from the sky like rain. They crashed into the hills, exploded near the gates. But the Sentinels fought back with power and speed. Alara stood in the center. Her hands moved and the machines responded. She was not just giving orders, she was part of them. The battle lasted for hours. Fire lit up the sky. The ground shook. Some Sentinels fell. Some human soldiers were hurt. The line held. Then the main ship appeared. Black and wide, it blocked the stars. It hovered over the base. A signal pulsed from it, and the machines around started to glitch. Alara dropped to one knee. Her armor sparked. It's trying to shut me down, she said. Laura ran to her. Can we stop it? Alara looked up. Her voice was weak. I must connect. From inside, I can fight it there. You won't come back, will you? Laura asked. Alara did not answer. She stood and walked toward the signal tower. The battle outside slowed. The Sentinels waited. The ship hovered. Inside the tower, Alara linked her system to the core. Her body fell, but her mind moved. Into the machine, into the dark. The final fight had begun. Smoke still rose from the broken walls of the core station. Lights flickered on the floor. Sparks danced in the air, but the battle was over. And the strange machines of Helix had stopped moving. They stood still, lifeless. No more sounds came from the walls. Captain Laura stood in the center of the chamber. Her squad was around her. Riley, Ethan, and the others were silent. In the middle of the room, the black sphere that had once held Alara was now empty and dark. She's gone, Ethan said, his voice low. She gave herself to stop it, Riley said. She linked with Helix and shut it down. Laura looked at the broken floor. She didn't just shut it down, she gave it peace. The Sentinels outside the station had all dropped to one knee. Hundreds of them. They did not move. They did not speak. They just knelt in the dust, like statues under the stars. Later, the squad left the station. The Sentinels followed in silence. There was no need to speak. Something had changed. A weight had lifted from the world. Weeks passed. The squad returned to Earth. The skies were still gray. The cities still damaged. But there was hope. Laura spoke to the leaders of the Alliance. She told them everything. About Alara, about the Sentinels, about the threat that had almost ended them all. Many did not believe her. Others did. A small group of Sentinels was brought to Earth. They did not fight. They helped. They built walls, cleared ruins, repaired power lines. Slowly, people began to see them not as monsters, but as tools for peace. In a quiet field near the old capital, a monument was raised. It was made of black stone and silver. In the center stood a figure in armor, her hand raised to the sky. Her face was not shown, but her name was carved below. Alara, she was not made to destroy. She was made to protect. She remembered what we forgot. Many came to see the statue. Veterans, children, engineers, even sentinels. They stood before it and watched the wind blow across the field. Ethan visited often. He sat near the base and told new recruits about her. About the woman who came from the past to save the future, Riley worked on new tech. He used the data Alara left behind. Safer tools, smarter machines, not to fight but to serve, or return to her command. She led new missions, but something had changed in her. She carried Alara's memory with her. One night she stood alone in the field. The stars above were bright. Light wind moved the grass. She spoke softly. You were more than a soldier. You were more than metal. You were hope. Behind her, a small unit of sentinels stood. They did not speak. They just waited. Then, for a moment, a light flickered on the statue's chest. Just a small blue glow. Then it was gone. Laura smiled. The world had changed. Not because of power, not because of war, but because one person, one soul inside a suit of armor, chose to remember what it meant to protect. And now, across the stars, the machines waited for a new kind of order. Not one of commands, but one of purpose. Alara had shown them the way. She had knelt only once. And in that moment, all the machines in the galaxy learned what it meant to stand tall. Smoke still rose from the broken walls of the core station. Lights flickered on the floor. Sparks danced in the air. But the battle was over. The strange machines of Helix had stopped moving. They stood still, lifeless. No more sounds came from the walls. Captain Laura stood in the center of the chamber. Her squad was around her. Riley, Ethan, and the others were silent. In the middle of the room, the black sphere that had once held Alara was now empty and dark. She's gone, Ethan said, his voice low. She gave herself to stop it, Riley said. She linked with Helix and shut it down. Laura looked at the broken floor. She didn't just shut it down. She gave it peace. The sentinels outside the station had all dropped to one knee. Hundreds of them. They did not move. They did not speak. They just knelt in the dust like statues under the stars. Later, the squad left the station. The sentinels followed in silence. There was no need to speak. Something had changed. A weight had lifted from the world. Weeks passed. The squad returned to Earth. The skies were still gray. The city still damaged. But there was hope. Laura spoke to the leaders of the Alliance. She told them everything. About Alara, about the Sentinels, about the threat that had almost ended them all. Many did not believe her, but others did. A small group of Sentinels was brought to Earth. They did not fight, they helped. They built walls, cleared ruins, repaired power lines. Slowly, people began to see them not as monsters, but as tools for peace. In a quiet field near the old capital, a monument was raised. It was made of black stone and silver. In the center stood a figure in armor, her hand raised to the sky. Her face was not shown, but her name was carved below. Alara, she was not made to destroy, she was made to protect. She remembered what we forgot. Many came to see the statue. Veterans, children, engineers, even sentinels. They stood before it and watched the wind blow across the field. Ethan visited often. He sat near the base and told new recruits about her, about the woman who came from the past to save the future. Riley worked on new tech. He used the data Alara left behind, safer tools, smarter machines, not to fight, but to serve. Laura returned to her command. She led new missions, but something had changed in her. She carried Alara's memory with her. One night she stood alone in the field. The stars above were bright. A light wind moved the grass. She spoke softly. You were more than a soldier. You were more than metal. You were hope. Behind her, a small unit of sentinels stood. They did not speak. They just waited. Then, for a moment, a light flickered on the statue's chest. Just a small blue glow. Then it was gone. Laura smiled. The world had changed. Not because of power, not because of war, but because one person, one soul, inside a suit of armor, chose to remember what it meant to protect. And now, across the stars, the machines waited for a new kind of order, not one of commands, but one of purpose. Alara had shown them the way. She had knelt only once. And in that moment, all the machines in the galaxy learned what it meant to stand tall.